Is the mic on? Episode 151. What's wrong with Orny Adams? Let's see. I was thinking about this. I've never told this story before. But one night, I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord. Many scenes from my life flashed before the sky. In each scene, I noticed footprints in the sand. Sometimes, there were even two sets of footprints. Other times, there was only one. This bothered me. And believe me, not much bothers me. Because I noticed that during the low periods in my life, when I was suffering with anguish, sorrow, or defeat, I could only see one set of footprints. So I said to the Lord, Lord, you promised me, Lord, that if I followed you, you would walk with me always. But I have noticed that during the most trying periods of my life, there was only one set of footprints in the sand. Why? Why, Lord? Why? Why, when I needed you the most, have you not been there for me? The Lord replied, the years when you have only seen one set of footprints, my child, is when I carried you. I said, Lord, but I'm looking back, and the one set of footprints are mine. You were wearing sandals. You could see toe prints. Those are my footprints, Lord. I mean, what do you... I mean, to question you, I'm not saying that I carried you, but did you take your flip-flops off or your sandals? What's the explanation? Lord, you know what? I'm sorry. I shouldn't question you. I know some people do question you. I shouldn't question you. You know what? I'm sure in those periods, maybe the water came up and they washed away your footprints. Because I remember you were always closest to the ocean. Why is that, Lord? Why were you always closest to the ocean? So maybe that's the explanation. And the Lord replied, you got me. You got me. You know what? I got to be honest with you. When I disseminated these words, I never thought that I was going to buy into it. I've been waiting for somebody to question this poem, this pathetic, drippy, hokey, kitschy, maudlin, mawkish, mushy, schmaltzy, sentimental, slushy, sloppy, soupy of a poem. The Footprints. Who wrote it? Episode 151. I hope I said 151 at the beginning and not 150. Who has time to fix that in post? Here's the deal. You're not going to believe this. There's actual controversy over who...
What's his name, Kev?
Orny. Oh, I got to play the whistle. One guy wrote on a review on Spotify how annoying the whistle is. And how unnecessary it is. I blow the whistle because it reminds me of greater times when I was in Costa Rica. Anyway, thanks, buddy, for writing a review. I appreciate all reviews. You can be critical. It is called What's Wrong with Orny Adams. And I'm here today to carry you. You. Oh, you know what the Lord was probably like? The Lord was probably like, hey, you know those times when you only see one set of footprints? Like, look at this time right here. You see this? This is when you were up for that job. Remember that? You were up for that job? I'm actually carrying the guy who got the job. I don't just work for you. I don't just work for you. So Mary Stevenson wrote the version that I read from 1936. But here's the deal. There have been so many versions of this poem, and different people claim that they wrote it. There's actually a lawsuit. The Stevenson family is suing somebody. This fight has gotten so heated, I'm not kidding, the Poetry Foundation has weighed in. An article written by Rachel Aviv, it's called Enter the Sandman. Now listen to this. Where am I? Let me pull this forward. Read you this article, because you're not going to believe... you ever wonder, because I was like, who wrote that? I just assumed it was some sort of poem passed down through the generations. And it was sort of a word of mouth, like folksy thing. I remember somebody telling it to me, and you see it on all sorts of like kitschy, like plates in people's kitchens, and it was on cards, and sometimes it was signed anonymous. And I never thought who wrote it, but four people claim the Lord actually sent them the words. This is from the article from the Poetry Foundation. A few years ago, Burl Webb, a retired landscape artist living in Oregon, discovered that a poem he wrote and never copyrighted had become one of the most widely circulated verses in the English language. He says he composed the lines in 1958 after leaving the Navy and being dumped by his girlfriend. Quote, "I was stressed, distressed, and single," he says, "when I received these divine words. I broke up the lines and made kind of a poem out of it. The finished product, which he published anonymously in a local newspaper, he felt it was God's work, not his. It tells the story of a man who has a dream, and he and God are walking along the beach." 40 years later, Webb was alarmed when his son informed him that the poem was on napkins, calendars, posters, gift cards, and teacups. I've never seen it on a teacup. That'd be kind of cool. Teacup with that poem. Usually, Footprints was signed author unknown. Yeah, because it came from the Lord. But other times, the credit was given to Mary Stevenson, Margaret Fisher Powers, or Carolyn Joyce Carty, who have all registered copyrights for the poem. Now, registration does not require proof of originality. These three versions differ mostly in tense, word order, and line breaks, with no way to prove what the work was actually with no way to prove that the work was actually his. Webb paid $400 to take a polygraph test, which he now routinely sends the results to those who question him. Oh boy, we know that doesn't hold up. Polygraph. Psychopaths can pass a polygraph. Although several people have suggested to Webb a consolation that God gave the idea to multiple authors. That's what I was thinking, in order to spread a more efficient, his word more efficiently. Yeah, this is before the internet. God had to go to all different parts of the world. One of the people are from Canada. So the article continues. Yet authors who claim to have composed Footprints have memories of precise moments when they dreamed up these lines. Mary Stevenson, a former showgirl and nurse, said she composed the verse in 1936 following the death of her mother and brother, according to a biography. In fact, she has somebody her family has, which has been carbon dated or somehow they looked into it, pieces of paper where she wrote the poem. I think she used to write the poem on pieces of paper and give it to people. I would rather have it on a teacup. Okay, let's find another one. Now, there's another one, Bowers. Okay, Bowers, a Baptist child's evangelist, was more savvy about licensing the verse. She sold it to HarperCollins in Canada in 1993, and she describes Footprints as a culmination of a life of religious devotion. In her memoir, Footprints, the true story behind the poem that inspired millions, she enthusiastically recounts all the tragedies she endured while never losing belief in the Lord. Now, why did HarperCollins in Canada buy this in 1993 when the other lady said she had it out in 1936 and it's been printed before that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Where is the Poetry Foundation to weigh in on this? In the course of 100 pages, she gets stuck lightning, but she gets, okay, in the 100 pages, this is Powers, one of the claimants on the work. In the course of 100 pages, you ready for this? She gets struck by lightning, develops spinal meningitis, gets hit by a truck, and has a near-death experience with a bumblebee. Her daughter gets crushed by a motorcycle. Wow. And later slips down a 68-foot waterfall while her husband, watching, has a heart attack. Whose husband? The daughter or Powers? In the hospital room, a nurse pulls out a little piece I have here in my pocket and recites Footprints to ease the family's pain. I would pull out my teacup when she casually mentions what a shame it is that no one knows the poem's author. Power's husband croaks from his bed, "It's my wife." Far from dead, Powers currently travels the world giving sermons about the power of faith. She has licensed the poem to nearly 30 companies, including Hallmark Cards and Lennox Gifts. Her lawyer, John A. Hughes, a self-described atheist, won't say how much Powers has earned, this is all about money, from her publications. Here's another one. Cardi. Footprints is far less of a stylistic aberration for Powers than it is for Mary Stevenson, who wrote sporadically, or Carolyn Joyce Cardi, who struggles with pronunciation and spelling. Wait till you hear this. Cardi, what this Cardi woman claims. Cardi is the most hostile of the contenders and frequently issues error-ridden cease and desist letters to those who post the poem online. Cardi wrote Footprints in 1963. This is what she claims when she was 6. She says she based the idea on a poem written by her great aunt, a Sunday school teacher. Wait a minute. How could she? She says she based the idea on a poem written by her great aunt, a Sunday school teacher. More than 20 years later, she copyrighted the verse as part of an 11-page document of stream of consciousness prose. She declined to be interviewed, but characterized her writing style in an email. "I like common denominations and subjects. I always look for the common bond when trying to create a universal message." Okay, now let me just say this about Cardi, because I read this. This was in the, I believe, the New York Times. This is Cardi. Oh, here's this is great. The only problem is one nagging detail: proof of authorship. None of these people can prove or copyrighted or did anything at the time. Footprints has been adapted into different languages, and worse, a pop song co-produced by Simon Cowell. Cardi, listen to this, actually claims her grandmother first wrote it in 1922, and then young Carolyn wrote it. And it is unclear from a brief email exchange with a reporter if Cardi understands what it means to have written something. She also filed a copyright on Footprints, claiming it was her contribution to society. She maintains a wondrously baffling Footprints website where she also claims she wrote the lyrics to "In My Life" before the Beatles did. So I think this one's whack-a-doodle-doodle-doo, and we get to play the crazy whistle. She's a little bit nutty. She thinks she wrote a Beatles song before the Beatles. What more do you need than that? This is interesting. As soon as I find it, it's interesting. Oh, we're going to talk about big Bill Belichick. Encryptomnesia, a paper about accidental plagiarism. See, this is what I said at the beginning. Now, what am I? I'm a comedian, podcaster. I don't know anything. But immediately when I heard this, I thought these people have heard this before. Like their parents probably told them this poem when they were kids. Subconsciously, they sort of had it in the back of their minds, and then they think they wrote it. This feels like something that's been passed on forever. In fact, that author found, like in the 1800s, found a preacher who had told a similar story. So, anyway, Encryptomnesia, a paper about accidental plagiarism. Carl Jung, studied him when I was in college, it's a philosophy major, argues that it's impossible to know for certain which ideas are one's own. Our unconsciousness swarms with strange intruders, he writes. He accuses Nietzsche of unwittingly copywriting another's work and urges all writers to sit through their memories and locate the origin of every idea before putting it on paper. Ask each thought, do I know you, or are you new? In Andrew Keene's 2007 book, The Cult of Amateur, he writes that the internet has introduced a state of communal amnesia. We're lost. We've lost, he said, our memory for things learnt, read, experienced, or heard. Perhaps the Footprints writers are living in a version of this peculiar situation. There's not there's not only an abundance of amateur authors, but they've all written the exact same thing. Anyway, I think it's interesting. So the way my mind works, the way What's Wrong with Orny Adams' mind works is, I'm curious. For some reason, that footprint thing came into my mind, and then I started to question the poem, which is what I like to do. I like to question conventions. And I love religion because it's something that, a lot of people hear, like this poem. We all know this poem somehow. We may not remember the first time we heard it. We may have seen it on a teacup in my house. But it's part of our subconscious and consciousness. And that's why I like to go, after these things or discuss these things or break these things down. To me, it's interesting. So for some reason, that poem came into my head the other day, and I thought, oh yeah, what that poem? Who wrote that poem? Like, is it a verse from the Bible? Was it actually given from God to a person? Apparently several people. So that's the way my mind works. Now, in breaking, holy cow, this is in the ocean. Paleontologists discover 500 million year old three-eyed predator. Oh, bring this computer closer to me. You got to see this thing that used to be in the ocean. I'm telling you, we don't know what's going on down there under the sea. Under the sea. We don't know what's going on under. Everybody's so excited to go to Mars. We ought to just go down there and try and figure out what's happening there. Like if there was aliens living in the ocean, that I could see that. If there was a whole community down there, I could see that. There's new species popping up all the time. So this little three-eyed predator is about the length of an index finger and has three eyes dotting across the head and a circular mouth lined with teeth. That's where you get me. According to pop-up, everybody, big pop-up. God forbid I read something for free. God forbid I try and educate people. Where's the Lord now? Is the Lord carrying me as I deal with a pop-up? Let me look at the footprints in the sand. According to paleontologists at the Manitoba Museum in Ontario, Canada, they made the discovery the beast was also equipped with flaps on both sides of its body for swimming, and it had claws coming out of its head. I don't like claws coming out of the head. I don't like claws. This is why I don't go in the ocean. Remember when I was in Costa Rica, there were crocodiles? And then a pufferfish tried to attack me. And then I got attacked by an otter in Sedona. The ocean scares me. The ocean scares me. That's why I'm loving this documentary, 100-Foot Wave. New episode last night, season 3, episode 3. They go to conquer this wave in the middle of the ocean. These people are courageous. They go to Cortez Banks. It's 100 miles off of San Diego. And they have to take a boat. They're in a boat all night. And they're going to go into the middle of the ocean. Now, it's hard to surf in general. And the waves that they surf, these waves are 80 feet high. And then there are rocks all around them. But they have the perspective of the beach. They have the perspective of a cliff. So they have an idea of where they are. But when you're in the middle of the ocean, it's just blue. And they get on their jet skis. And they get out there. And you know what I love about this documentary is not only are they passionate about surfing and they love it, they've become meteorologists. They all read weather maps and they know when the big waves are coming. So they're like, all right, we got to go to Cortez Bays, 100 miles off of San Diego. Big waves are coming. And they go, and the big waves were there. And they get on the jet skis, and over the loudspeaker, you hear, this is what you hear. They're reporting that they're seeing some big fish. Well, we all know what big fish are. They don't want to say it, but there are sharks out there. They're in the middle of nowhere, and they're seeing sharks. Big fish, they're calling them. That's what I like to call myself, the big fish. So they surf, and you just don't want anybody to die. In the last episode, somebody died there in Portugal, and it's scary. Yeah, I'm rooting for all these guys. So courageous. It's so cool to watch. I love extreme sports that I would never do. The only one I can't stand are the people that get dressed up in bird suits and jump off of cliffs and then end up slamming into the cliff and dying. I don't like these people that are trying to fly and they purposely get close to the cliff because all it takes is one wind and now you're like a mosquito smashed up against the rocks. I'm happy to report I had a great hangover. Yeah, remember last week I said I'm going to drink? I picked a night where I didn't have a show, a night where I didn't have a show the next day, or didn't have to record a podcast, or didn't have to travel, didn't have to get up and have a meeting. This morning I had to get up and have a Zoom meeting, big Zoom meeting about a show I'm doing tomorrow night, a private show, big old Zoom meeting. And so I had 1 1/4 martinis. I had 1 1/4. I'm just guessing by visually looking at how I filled up the glass. I did 2, half of 1 1/4s, 1 1/4 martinis. And I had a great buzz. I made a charcuterie platter with cheese and some nuts and apricots. And I just sat there and it was great. It was wonderful. I woke up in the morning and I used to have great hangovers when I was in college. Like I never drank. That's not true. I did drink excessively in college, but in modern life, no. But you still get these headaches. But I had a headache where like you just had this fuzz the next day, this little hum. That's all I had. And I went for a hike, and I let the sun wake me up, and I was and the hum is getting lower and lower as the day goes on. Like sometimes you get a hangover and it gets worse. I drink martinis. I don't know what happened. I was watching a show and they had a martini. I'm like, I haven't had a martini in years. So I went and I got vermouth. I had vermouth in my bar, but vermouth is a wine. It doesn't last that long. So I got some sweet vermouth and some fresh olives, and I made martinis. I've been a tequila mezcal guy for the last few years. I lost sight of the array of great liquors I could be drinking. And I had 1 1/4 martinis, and it was great. Felt good. Proud to report that. Man, do I wish I was on this Diddy trial. Yeah, I went on a date last week, and I said that. I wish I was a juror in this Diddy trial. I think it'd be interesting. Now, I'm not following 2 trials. I'm not following the Diddy trial and Karen Reed. And I'll tell you why. I'm waiting for the documentaries. It's too much to go through. The Diddy trial is going to be an amazing. I'm blocking off a week for each of these trials. And Karen Reed, I already saw a documentary on the first trial. I think she's involved somehow and guilty. I know people that don't watch the same documentary. So that's what's fascinating about these trials. So I'm on this date. And I said, I'd love to be a juror on the Diddy trial. I'd love to, write a book, exploit it, hear this first. This would be an interesting trial. Be interesting, because pretty sure Diddy's guilty, but I'd look at him like, I'd like him think I was on Diddy's side. And then when we get the conviction, they'll go, whoa, we thought the comedian was on Diddy's side. The only problem with being you're forever a juror on Diddy trial. Like now your name is attached to his name for the rest of your life, and you have to worry about safety. I'm not saying, I'm just saying on any big trial, wink, wink, people might come after you. So my date said, you serve jury duty? I said, yeah. She said, no, you just throw that thing out. They can't prove you ever got it. I said, it's my civic duty to serve on jury duty. That's what you do in the world. And she didn't get it. And I said, I think they don't have to prove that you got it. They'll send you a couple of those. Can't just say you didn't get it every time. They might call you. Like you could go to jail. She didn't care. In fact, I walked her to her car at the end of the night, and this was a place where there was just no parking. And she's like, oh, I'm right over there. I'm like, how'd you get a space right over there? She's parked in a handicapped spot with a placard that was her dad's. So, that just says everything about that person's character. And that's what it is. We're in a world where people are entitled. There's a guy suing Whataburger. Whataburger? Yeah, Whataburger. Hate that name. because there were onions on his burger when he said no onions. This guy's suing for $100 million. What a burger. Now, here's what's interesting. Got to get rid of all the notes on the poetry footprints. Where's the Whataburger guy? Is it on the front page? Yeah, over $1 million. The filing, this is what's amazing. This isn't the first time this has happened. This guy's so unlucky. First, the filing comes almost a year after the Hottie law firm represented this guy Wilson in a lawsuit against Sonic Drive-In. According to USA Today, similarly, in May of 2024, Wilson alleged to have required medical attention after being given onions in his food that made him feel sick. The case was quickly dismissed when Sonic said, prove it. Prove it. That's what we have to do is shut these frivolous trials down. Prove it. This guy's probably walking in going, yeah, can I get the Whataburger onions? And, excuse me, yeah, just the, what I just said, yeah, and I didn't hear you. Yeah, I'm going to get the quarter pounder Whataburger and, yeah, some a shake and some fries, please. He was probably throwing it under his breath on purpose. This happened to him twice. Hey, how about this? How about you pick up the bun and look and see if there's onions on there if you're so allergic to it? I have people in my family that have allergies, and they're always checking. Now, I know sometimes a waitress can say, yeah, there's no fish in it, but then there ends up being fish in it or something like that. There can be miscommunication, but this happened twice. Suing for, what was it, $1 million? Insane. We didn't hear you. Probably went through the drive-thru. Yeah, can I get like a Whataburger? No onions. What? Yeah, you heard me. Big lawsuit coming. Big lawsuit. You should sue him for calling it a Whataburger. Whataburger. Should we do some viewer email? Let's do these two. Rhonda in Florida. Hi, Orny. I really enjoyed your podcasts. I really enjoy your podcasts and find them informative. Yeah, did you know about the Footprints lawsuit? That's the way my mind works. It just gets curious all of a sudden. You often mention noise. Yeah, there's noise going on right now. I hear leaf blowers. Where you are, garbage trucks, leaf blowers, she mentions. Just wanted to let you know your equipment must be really good because you don't hear any of that on our end. Have a great day, Rhonda in Florida. Well, Rhonda, two things happening. I have incredible equipment. I only use the best. And then Eric S., he masters the audio and he gets it out. So I have him to thank. Now, this article comes from David. Yeah, this is how my fans are so old, they're taking pictures of actual newspapers and sending them to me. Alligator kills, it says in Alligator News is the subject. Alligator kills Florida woman after tipping over her canoe. Well, there's just another thing to worry about. Three-eyed fish in this. An alligator killed a Florida woman after tipping over a canoe she and her husband were paddling. That's it. Now I'm not going canoeing. That's it. I'm done canoeing. Thanks, David. I needed to know this. This is like when you start flying, you're not that nervous because, planes don't really crash. And then you start to hear things like, oh, yeah, a bird flew into an engine. You're like, that can happen? So the more you hear about things that can happen to you in the water. See, I walk every day, so I feel safer. I drive on land. I feel comfortable on land. I live on land. I don't spend a lot of time in the water. Listen, I was a lifeguard. I'm a great swimmer, but I'm not out swimming an alligator. This guy tipped over a canoe. Surprised the otters didn't join in. A Florida woman, after tipping over a canoe she and her husband were paddling, while investigators say appeared to be an accidental encounter. I think the husband set it up. The attack happened Tuesday afternoon near the mouth of the Tiger Creek in Lake Kissimmee, south of Orlando. It's near the same location as a March alligator attack in which a woman was bitten on the elbow while kayaking. Boy, we're not even safe kayaking. This is all because of global warming. Did I read that the hole in the ozone is repairing itself? It might be repaired in 50 years because we've cleaned up our act here on Earth. Isn't that a little bit of good, encouraging news? Oh my God. Investigators, I'm just reading this for the first time, said at a news conference Wednesday that the couple was canoeing in about 2.5 feet of water when they came upon a large alligator. The startled animal thrashed suddenly, tipping over the canoe, sending them both into the water. I would have kept that paddle and paddled that thing. It sounds like the canoe drifted over the top of an alligator. The alligator was startled. Witnesses, oh, people had to see this? Oh, I don't want to see something like this. But if I do, I hope I film it. I hope I'm not just sitting there going, because I freeze. Every time I'm supposed to film, I go, oh, and I see other people filming. The husband tried to fight off the animal, but was unsuccessful. This is what witnesses said. FWC, what is that? Fish Wildlife Committee? Officials identified the victim as 61-year-old Cynthia, I won't say her name, in Florida. A trapper captured an alligator measuring 11 feet that is suspected to be the one. Once you check the stomach. This alligator could also be responsible for other ones. Oh, they always get them afterwards, don't they? They always get the alligator afterwards, but there's no preemptively trying to get rid of these people. Huh? Where's the first page? Are there other topics I'm supposed to be talking about? Diddy trial, hunted for wave, footprints, paleontology. Boy, I'm just zipping through this episode. I thought, I'm going to start doing podcasts that are 20 minutes long. How about that? Maybe more people will listen. Oh, here's just putting a button on, as we say in the business, on the footprints. This was the paragraph I was looking for before. Last fall, in an online article for the Poetry Foundation. I'm a big fan of the Poetry Foundation. A Brooklyn journalist and literary sleuth named Rachel Aviv traced elements of footprints to a sermon delivered in 1880 and raised the tantalizing possibility that nobody really wrote footprints in the sand. Well, we now have a new edition, which is the further discussion, which I did on the podcast today. I'm copywriting that today. Right down to the possibility that God was carrying another person at those times, the person that he helped get the job, when the guy who needed the job was stuck in the sand by himself. Oh, it's all so interesting, isn't it? We'll talk about Bill Belichick at the end. God, you know what? These podcasts can't be short. Here's a story. So the Karen Reed trial, I'm very interested in, but not following closely. The Mexican Navy ship, I just can't figure out what happened there in Brooklyn. They hit the bridge, and they said it's going to be a 2-year investigation to find out what happened. 2 years? Can't we just go on the ship and say in Spanish what the hell happened? The hell, que pasa, sailors? The thing was going in reverse so fast it hit the bridge. It was supposed to be going forward. Were they disoriented? Were the engines in reverse by accident? Like 2 years? Why would it take that long? I'm going to try and pronounce the name of the ship. The Guatemala. I rehearsed this before. I went online and got the pronunciation. I had it. Guatemala. Yeah, Guatemala. Left Acapulco on April 6th on a goodwill tour, which planned stops. I bet most people didn't know this. That included New York. Well, we know that. Hit the bridge there. This tour didn't go that far. They were supposed to go to Jamaica, Cuba, Barbados, Scotland, Spain, and London. Let's see an alligator tip over that boat. Let's see that, tough alligators. According to the Mexican Navy, after leaving Manhattan, its next stop was Reykjavik, Iceland. The sailors were on the mast. This is what I was curious about. Like, why were they all up on the mast there? You can't be up on mast when you're close to a bridge. The sailors were on the mast of the Mexican Navy ship as part of a ceremonial practice called manning the rail, or addressing the ship, a form of saluting the port that they were leaving. This tradition involves crew members standing on the mast and rigging, evenly spaced as a sign of respect. That didn't go well, did it? In the case of the Mexican Navy ship, it was a farewell to the United States after their visit to New York. The custom of manning the rail originated from the practice of manning the yard and is a traditional Navy salute. The U.S. Navy adopted it in 1824. I wonder if anybody was saying the Footprints the poem back then. And uses it to honor distinguished persons like the President of the United States or rulers of foreign nations. So interesting. So interesting. Don't go anywhere because, I don't have sponsors. There would be, but we're going to talk about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. This guy's an inspiration at the end. But I have a theory because I think with COVID, I got to be honest with everybody. I had COVID a couple of weeks ago. And my tongue is still numb. My forearm is a little bit numb, although it's getting better every day, or otherwise I'd be worried. But I had COVID, and I was vaccinated. I got the vaccine 6 months ago because I just can't get sick. I'm touring too much, and I believe in vaccines. And I got COVID, and it could have been a lot worse. I was in bed for 3 days. I had symptoms for 2 weeks, and my tongue is still numb, and my forearm is numb. And I'm afraid of long COVID. I feel like I already have long COVID. And now I think I'm going to have even longer COVID. This is a wicked, wicked virus. It's wicked. I'd like to know who gave it to me. Punch him in the face. I'd like that. Whoever gave me COVID, I'd like to take you out on a canoe in Florida in 2.5 feet of water. Hey, Lord. Where were you when I took my wife out in a canoe in 2.5 feet of water and an alligator thrashed around? Were you holding me? Because I wish you had held up the canoe. I have a theory because I leave the house. I go out a lot. I go out on my Super 73 bike. I zip around town. I love that thing. I go visit friends. I go out to eat. Makes me social. But I feel like people aren't social anymore. Like the other night when I had 1.25 Martinis, I would have liked to have had that with somebody else. I would have liked to have gone out, but nobody wants to go out anymore. Everybody's hunkering down. Everybody wants to stay home. Everybody wants to be alone. Everybody's afraid of people. Everybody's afraid of plans. When you leave the house, okay, I'm going to give an example. I just bought a new suitcase. I bought it online. I used to go to Macy's, then I go to Bloomingdale's, then I go to Bed Bath & Beyond, then I'd go maybe even like a Marshall's or TJ Maxx, and then I'd go to the luggage store in Baldwin Hills and buy it. Now I just order it online. And because of that, I'm not meeting more people because you used to go out and meet people, but nobody wants to meet anybody nowadays. Everybody wants to just order online, order food online, stay home, watch TV. They want to hunker down, isolate. Something changed in us socially during COVID, and it is getting worse. And there's a whole lot of people just checked out. Everybody is checked out, and they're making us self-check out. You go anywhere with their employees, most of them do not care. They're checked out. A lot of people are checked out in the world. And I blame the phones. And I'm saying this, and I mean this. I grew up with asbestos, which has given all of us mesothelioma. I would rather grow up with asbestos than a smartphone. I think smartphones are one of the worst things to happen to society. Everybody is on their phones all the time. Everybody needs an answer to something. People who are inquisitive like me are constantly searching and looking up stuff. And I'm telling you, the relationship we have with the phones is way too much. And I was thinking the other day when I was on my hike, when did this start? When did it start? And I haven't fully developed these thoughts. When did it start that people would leave the house and not be open to meeting people? Like I went to a coffee shop the other day, yesterday. Everybody was on a computer or a device. Everybody. Nobody looking up. Some people were on a computer, on a device, at a bar facing a wall. I thought, why did they leave the house? You can stay home and do this. Don't you want to meet people? I look up, someone walks in, I look up, what's going on? You don't want to meet people? You don't want to interact with humans? You don't need that? Am I of a generation that needs human interaction and nobody else does? But when did this start? And I had a weird thought. It was the Sony Walkman. When I was a kid and that came out, that allowed us to leave the house with headphones and isolate. And I used to, in high school, walk around listening to the Rolling Stones, listening to Start Me Up, that album. And I was in my own world. I could fantasize. I didn't have to worry about people around me. I didn't have to be social. I could be in my own world, in the world. And that's sort of the beginning. And I've seen through time more people wearing sunglasses. There weren't so many sunglasses when I was growing up. Somehow our eyes were fine. We could handle it being in the sun. Now everybody has sunglasses, which is another FU to the world. You can't see my eyes. You can't see me. I got headphones in. You don't want to approach me. Now more people wear hats than I've ever seen. Hats is another way to pull down the brim and hide with your hat, sunglasses, and in earplugs. You think you want to approach anybody that's got a hat on, earplugs, and sunglasses? You don't. So we blame the cell phones, but this actually dates back to the 80s when we were allowed to leave the house and isolate. Before that, you go to the beach and somebody had a boom box and you would, everyone would listen to the same music. You'd interact with people. Your phone, you didn't have GPS. You'd have to ask people for directions. You'd ask people to get into a town and say, hey, I'm just in from Boston, New York, LA, wherever I'm from, and is there a good place to eat? And they say, oh, you got to, have you ever had biscuits and gravy? No, go. You got to go to this place and get biscuits and gravy. Not anymore. That's what's wrong with the world. You go, what's wrong with Orny Adams? Well, a lot, apparently. A lot. The more I assess my life, the more I wonder, what am I doing? What have I done? Lots wrong with Orny Adams. But there's a lot more wrong with the world. And I'm just saying, I'm trying to fit into this world, but this world's not trying to fit into me. I'm open. I'm trying to engage in me. That's why I don't mind dating. I like meeting people. Like, what's the worst thing that happens? You have a weird interaction. Okay, well, that can happen. Or you can meet somebody that's interesting. Maybe that person knows other people. Maybe you can, I just feel like my friend circle is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I don't want to die alone in my house with my decomposition detector going off. This gives me hope. 73-year-old football coach Bill Belichick is dating 24-year-old girlfriend. The girlfriend, her father is 49, which is their age difference. Now, they started dating a couple years ago, which means I think she was 20 at the time. I don't feel comfortable dating women in their 20s. And I'm not 73. I mean, mentally, maybe. Oh, not a little hummingbird just flew by the window. That was nice. That was nice. Oh, before I finish the story of Bill Belichick, because I will forget, I will be this weekend in Chicago at the Den Theater, Saturday night. May 24th. May 31st, I will be in Alto, New Mexico at the Spencer Theater. And then I'm retiring. I'm a little nervous about the altitude, so I've started taking, this is, the altitude in New Mexico is 7,500 feet. I've talked to a bunch of people. I have to hydrate a lot, but I'm taking cordyceps mushrooms, these capsules, in preparation. This is supposed to give me more oxygen. Probably does nothing except take my money. $25 for that. We'll see. Anybody have any experience with cordyceps mushrooms? Just another scam. I love how everyone gets on these bandwagons. Like everyone's like, oh, don't eat green, don't eat ripe bananas. Don't eat the bananas the way we've been eating them for generations. Don't eat them green now. There's more potassium, more vitamins than when they're ripe and they're full of sugar and they taste delicious. It feels like the new generation just wants to counter anything that their parents were involved with. Oh, my parents are into these ripe bananas. Well, we're going to go the other way. We're going to get them green and disgusting and tart. It's like those plantains. You know what they do with plantains? They put them in a pan with sugar and cook them. Make them delicious. So what's your experience with cordyceps? You can email me. The podcast email is what'swrong@ornyadams.com. What'swrong@ornyadams.com. This 20-minute podcast I set out to do is now 45 minutes. So his girlfriend claims she loves him. Now, is it possible for a 24-year-old to love a 73-year-old? I think it's difficult. It's a different energy level. You're at different points in your life intellectually. Belichick has done so much. Is she using Belichick? Is this elder abuse? What's happening here? Or is this guy a hero to older single people like me? I feel bad they're dating somebody younger. I mean, I just don't connect. She says, wrote her name down, I think. Where is it? She says, I will not be cyberbullied into submission, she wrote online after posting a photograph of herself dressed like a mermaid with Mr. Belichick as a fisherman. Imagine this. See, this is elder abuse. This guy's 73 years old, meets this young girl. She takes over his life. They start losing football games because of her. She's the Yoko Ono of football. And she makes him dress up as a fisherman. They're one of the most serious people in football. Guy never cracked a smile. Now this 24-year-old's making him dress up as a fisherman. She continues, I will continue to stand for love, authenticity, and permissibility of nonconformity. They can burn me at the stake, but they cannot burn out my light. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. They had that awkward interaction on CBS when the reporter asked where they met, which I'd like to know where they met. Now, is she using him? This is from an article in the New York Times. She has been equally persistent in availing herself of professional opportunities created by Mr. Belichick's career and in making herself a character on the Chapel Hill stage. That's where he's going to coach next. In January, she posted a photo meant to invoke UNC's greatest athlete, the basketball luminary Michael Jordan, and seemingly inviting Nike to reach out to her for a brand partnership. She appears in a Carolina sweatshirt with a caption that reads, Air Jordan 1, coming fall 2025. Consider this a formal pitch. On LinkedIn, she lists her job titles as Chief Operating Officer of Belichick Productions and Chief Executive Officer of Trouble Cub Enterprises. But as a producer, she's not off to a good start. This winter, producers of NFL Films decided that a new season of a sports docuseries, Hard Knocks, would focus on Mr. Belichick's efforts to build the UNC football program ahead of the 2025 season. HBO agreed to air it, but days before they were set to announce the series, Ms. Hudson, that's her name, I think it's Jordan Hudson, demanded she be granted content approval and partial ownership of the show, according to a person familiar with the deal who spoke on a condition of anonymity, because they were not authorized by producers to speak to a reporter. NFL pulled the plug, as they should. This was like the lawsuit with Sonic. And I hope Whataburger does it too. I hope Whataburger goes, prove it. We got a lot of money. We can afford a long, drawn-out trial with a lot of lawyers. Prove that there were onions on your burger. And by the way, I did look it up. You can be allergic to onions. I didn't realize you can go into shock. Like the same as peanut allergies. Okay, this is where they say they met. This is where the story gets interesting to me. She and Belichick said to have met on a JetBlue flight to West Palm Beach, Florida. Why is he flying JetBlue? This guy's not private. Belichick's not private with all his friends. He's writing a book called The Art of Winning, which sounds a lot like you know whose book. This guy, this is how I know Belichick is broken. Not that he's on JetBlue. I'd love to see him on a JetBlue flight. I'd love to see him. I wonder if he gets the same fare I do. The fare that comes with one free bag and you get an upgraded seat. I wonder if he does that one too. Is Bill Belichick flying commercial? Has anybody seen Belichick flying commercial? That's the other thing. If this girl's using him for his money and she meets him on a commercial flight, that's strange, right? You'd think, wouldn't she be like, hey, I'm here for some gold digging. What are you doing on JetBlue in the flex fare section? On a flight to West Palm Beach, Florida, JetBlue, February 11th, which she calls their meet-iversary, and he signed one of her college philosophy books. She was in college at the time. This girl's from Maine. They talked about in this article how Belichick, she's now 24, and she just was in the Miss Maine pageant, and she came in second runner-up, which I call third place. This first place, second place, third place. You can say first place, you can say runner-up. I'm fine with that. Second runner-up, no thank you. That's third place. Let's not clean it up. This girl came in third. Belichick didn't even clap. This guy's 73 years old. One of the most winningest football coaches of all time, if not the. And he's got to go watch his 24-year-old girlfriend at a pageant in the function room at the Ramada in Maine. So strange. It's so strange. Or is Bill Belichick a hero? And this is what you should do. This is what you should use your power and relationships for, is to reel in a young girl like this, a woman. She's old enough to be her great-granddad. I guarantee on one of these trips where they're hobnobbing with, all these famous people, she's going to meet some guy and take off with that guy. That's what I think. But I'm a cynic who knows. He met her when she was in college, which she still has not graduated from. Because why graduate? Why do you need a degree when you're dating Bill Belichick? He signed her book, Deductive Logic. Mr. Belichick wrote an inscription. Jordan, her first name is Jordan, thanks for giving me a course on logic. Safe travels. This is pathetic, the way he's hitting on her. Thanks for giving me a course on logic. Thanks for giving me a course on logic. Safe travels. His signature included an accounting of his Super Bowl victories with the Patriots. He signs it, Bill Belichick, SB, Super Bowl 36, 38, 39, 49, 51, 53. That's pathetic. Dude, you don't have to speak for yourself. Everybody knows Bill Belichick won Super Bowls. Oh, and the whole thing makes me sad to be that needy at 73. Oh, what should I sign my, how should I sign my name? Orny Adams, Tonight Show, TS, Tonight Show, Letterman, Netflix special, NS, who lists their credits on a signature? You know what I started doing this week? Calling comedians and asking them, what am I doing wrong? How have I ended up where I've ended up? I'm going to end this podcast with a toast. Okay? Because something has clearly gone wrong in my career. Now, why am I about to indulge in, and my hair's uneven. It drives me nuts when my hair is uneven. I just made it worse. No, now I look like I've got a flat top. I am eating, right now, watermelon with tahini on it. Now, why am I doing this? Well, I'm going to tell you why. For the last 3.5 weeks, I spent day after day editing a clip with the Laugh Factory. Now, they were overwhelmed. They had a lot to do. I didn't. I wanted to get this clip out on the gay couple. Okay? I would send them notes. They'd edit it. They'd send it back. I'd have more notes. And grab this clip, this angle. I wanted to perfect this thing. I love this clip. It's a clip of a gay couple at the Laugh Factory really opening up and being cool. And it was funny. It was a fun moment. And the couple had the megaphones. And I thought, this is it. This is going to be the clip that blows up. I always think that. And I edit precisely. Like, I'll pull a half a second here, quarter second here. I'll move things. Like, I want to make it go. I want to make it flow. I want to give it my best. I enjoy editing. I enjoy the art of editing. Until I post it, then the disappointment. That's what's wrong with Orny Adams' career. Until I post it, it's a nightmare. So, I gotta tell you something. It's really hard to eat and do a podcast, but the hardest scene I ever shot in Teen Wolf, locker room scene with the chain coming out of the locker. And why was that so difficult? Because I decided to do that scene to challenge myself, chewing gum. And it became very hard to match each take with each chew. Meaning if you took a chew and you said this line, you better do it in the next take and the next angle so everything matches up. And it just throws off the rhythm. It made it hard. I'm experiencing that right now with this podcast. But the reason I'm eating watermelon is I posted 2 clips next to each other on TikTok. Okay? First clip, me opening up a watermelon and saying, this is going to determine how the entire summer goes by how ripe this watermelon is. And is it truly seedless, like it says on the outside? And it's about a 30-second clip. I did one take and took a bite of it and I that's delicious, right? I put it up on TikTok. As of right now, 300,000 views. 300,000 views. The other clip, okay, which I took 3.5 weeks to edit and put up, was under 1,000 after a day. It just hit 1,000. So one clip involves 30 plus years of mastering a craft and 3.5 weeks of editing. And the other clip involves a watermelon. And that one won. People don't give a shit about Orny Adams doing stand-up. They just want to see me eating a watermelon. That's what's wrong with Orny Adams.
What's his name, Kev?
Orny.
I love watermelon.
Adams. Put 'em together and what do you got? We got Orny Adams.
Bring it down. In honor of that guy that wrote in on that review, I'm not going to play the whistle from Costa Rica at the end. I want to thank everyone that listens, everyone who sends me emails, everybody who leaves comments, all my Patreon subscribers. You know, this video will be up on Thursday on Patreon. The audio will be everywhere for free. And then the video appears on YouTube in 4 weeks. So YouTube is 4 weeks behind, but that's what you get when you ain't paying. When you ain't paying, you get old video. Okay? If you want to email me, what's wrong at OrnyAdams.com. My tour schedule, OrnyAdams.com/tour. I'll be in New Mexico coming up. I'll be in Chicago this weekend. The tour continues. And I'm getting ready to shoot a special here in Los Angeles, September, and I hope you there. Hope you there. And I was just thinking, how do I end this? I got to say something about footprints. That's the theme of this thing. Footprints. Anyway, thanks everybody. And just remember, if you're having a bad day, look back in the sand. And if there's only one set of footprints, I'm carrying you. I'm carrying you. Okay. Thanks everybody.